Namaskar. Dear friends, I'm Chandrasekhar here. That has been our practice to introduce oneself. And I have been doing it. I hope you are not bored. This is in the series of lectures on the divisional charts, popularly called as D charts. In Sanskrit, now, what we are going to look at is called in Sanskrit as TuryāMsha. Turiya Avastha is the fourth stage of deep meditation, etc. So Turiya generally or Turiya refers to number 4. So this is the D4 chart as you would call it. I'll share it in a minute or so. But we must first understand what for it is to be seen. As you by now know, I do not go away from what is being already told by sages and don't sort of modify it further, though it can be. I mean, there is no doubt. There is a thinking that these are different harmonics at 5 levels, and so D4, D16, etc. Everything divided by 12 comes to some number which is indicative of something. But then there is a small change in it because Parashar specifically says TuryāMsha Bhagya Chintana. That is from TuryāMsha D4, one should look about or look for how the fortune or fate of the person helps him or hinders him and the sources therefore. So what we shall be looking at, as we have been doing all the while, we will take again Warren Buffett's chart only so that we don't, uh, rather I don't have that intention of, I mean, rather the temptation of indulging into fancy of my own. I prefer to remain with the uh, a bit of conservative part of astrology. So we shall, since it is talking about fortune, fate, etc., which is the ninth house, obviously, we shall look at the ninth bhava, god of the ninth bhava, the karaka for ninth bhava, etc., and influences on those bhavas or the bhavas which might be connected with the ninth bhava in one form or other. So, and what are the karakas? We know for sun, we take sun as the karaka for the ninth house, for king, father, government, etc., etc. And Jupiter for preceptor, of course, finance and so many other things, wealth, etc. We generally look at Jupiter for as a karaka for the ninth house. So wealth coming because of one's fortune or fate or whatever, or the mm, you know career that he chooses can also be seen from Jupiter, but not necessarily so. Because Jupiter itself within its ambit has so many things as Sun. But we are looking at what way the fortune of this Jataka might have grown or reduced at period, because that is what the great Parashara says. TuryāMsha Bhagya Chintana. Think of fortune or fate of a person from the TuryāMsha, the D4. So I shall share the screen where, as you know, on the left side, as you view the screen, on the left side would be the Rashi chart, the natal chart, or the Lagna chart, as we generally call it in or colloquial language. And on the right side is D4 chart. I have written it in the top square D4 to remove any confusion. We will see. There is a peculiarity. I don't know whether it is relevant or not, but we can see that the 10th lord, rather the Rashi in the Lagna, and in the Lagna, that is the ascendant of the D4 chart, both are ruled by Jupiter. So we can maybe say that there would be some role of wealth, finance, or something like that in his in growth of the Jataka, but that need not always be so. So let me make it very clear. That is a part of extrapolation, taking basic principles somewhere else, but I am not very sure. In both the cases, Saturn occupies the ascendant. So what we are looking at. What we look is where is Sun, the Karaka for the ninth house, and which planets aspect it. We can see that Rahu aspects Sun, and there is no other planet which aspects Sun. Of course, Sun also aspects Rahu, as you can see, because uh, Rahu is in the cardinal Rashi and Sun is in the sixth Rashi. Rahu has to do with investigations. As you know, he stays in the ant hills, is what is described as. He's normally suspicious, mm, given to going deeper into things, and he also acts like Saturn. Uh, Shani Vata Rahu is the saying that Rahu can give results akin to Saturn. So, and he is, of course, I mean, he encompasses many complex things together. That is another part of Rahu which is rarely thought of. He is also said to represent things which are uh, what we can call culturally different, or those which are not easily understood. All those are controlled by Rahu. He is aspecting Sun, the Karaka for fortune of Mr. our dear Warren Buffett. And therefore, what is happening here is that he was into investigation. As you can know, he was an investment person, very well known in the stock markets. Some call him, I used to call him at least the Oracle of Omaha. You must be remembering. And so most of his fortune came out of his ability to analyze or think very deep into anything and analyze it, maybe also from the stock market. And his father, the son is also Karaka for the father, never forget that, also had influence on him to some extent. It was also in matter of his education, but yeah, he was also somebody who was into stock markets at a different scale. So that influence is seen on his fortune by his father also here. We can see that the second house of wealth is occupied by Rahu and aspected by Sun. So this is one thing. Another thing is Sun represents government, as you know, and he did give, I think, some sort of a undertaking to the government to supply dollars, etc., etc. The dollar part comes to Jupiter. Now, where from Jupiter comes in? And what is the ninth lord doing? Ninth lord is Mars, as you see. He is aspected by Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, and Mercury. So this Saturn, Saturnine tendency, you can call it. But I would say again, the stock market, I always consider Saturn as the Karaka for stock market. Let me be very clear about it. Because he is the Karaka for the 8th and the 12th house. Unexpected losses or gains mm, are his domain. And again, deep analysis, uh, being not exposing himself, etc., etc., are his tendencies. You know that, and that is why I consider him the Karaka for stock market. And that is exactly how his fate, rather his fortune flourished in the stock market. We can also see Venus is there, who represents textiles. As you know, Berkshire Hathaway was originally textile company. Mars, again, aspecting the 10th house. 10th house is career. What actually you do, fortune is one part. Of course, you enter into that for some reason. And Mars is machinery, so that was a textile company, which later on did not do as well as it was thought it would, and therefore he got rid of it, and then went into converted into the great Berkshire Hathaway that you know about, which is an investment company. It would be interesting to see that House of Venus is aspected by Ketu, who is in the 8th house, in a cardinal Rashi, and he aspects Vrishabha Rashi, the Taurus Rashi. isn't it? From Libra, it aspects the Taurus. And so perhaps he gave up to the original form of Venus, the textile part of it, and juices also. He was into Coca-Cola, you know about it. You read his life, which is available on the net, and you will find out. I have also talked about it earlier in the earlier analysis. So I want to be brief so that we remain focused only on one thing. Then he was into trade. Saturn is again a gambler, so he had the machines. You know that. So I think pinball machines he had established in some places in very early days. So all these things helped him grow. Jupiter, finance, banking, etc. And Mercury, the trade. So of course he was into many trades. You go through it and you will find out he got the different uh, into different area. Actually, very varied areas he has covered during his life, as you will see. And then Jupiter, the finance is there. So not only banking, the part was he committed to supply. He entered into a contract with the government to supply dollar at one time. Then he had a large stock of dollars and government wanted it. And so that is also on record. So it's nothing. And out of all these things, he earned a lot. So this is a sort of, we can see the play of Ketu also there. And whatever he got from fortune, he also gave up because again, uh, you can see many things playing here, but we are not going to that. We have already seen that in the earlier lectures. Then Saturn also rules anything which is speculative is Saturn's game. He also rules insurance, and he did have an insurance company. Uh, he did have some problem about remuneration because of something of that company, but he overcame. So you can see Saturn aspecting the 10th house of TuryāMsha. The Bhagya was tinted for some time, but only for some time, and he could get out of. So this is how we I would rather look at how to analyze the TuryāMsha chart. It is about Bhagya, fortune. How does it grow? Which planets can influence? And if that Jataka has moved in that direction, the mm, extent of obtaining the fortune which is promised by the chart are more. So, as I always say, this divisional chart will not overrule what is indicated by the natal chart. You can see all those planets in right position, even in his Lagna chart. They are side by side. You can see that. Venus, Mercury, Jupiter, Mars, Saturn, all are in square aspecting each other. Sun is in the ninth house, again in the D chart, the D1 chart as you call it, or the chart with ascendant, or what is called as the Rashi chart in the southern part of India. In my part of India, it used to be called as the Janmalagna Kundali, birth chart. One and the same thing. There is no problem, no difference between them. You can also see here down below I have given the षोडश Varga Balas because TuryāMsha doesn't appear in other Varga Balas. The divisional strength we can call it. So about the 16 division charts, when you consider what happens in Sun, you can see 14.78, Mars 11.90. Everything is about it. Sorry, Moon 1190, Mars 1325, Mercury again the trader. In share market, when you operate regularly, you are called a trader. So 14.70, Sun and Mars have almost equal strength there. Jupiter 10.95, that dollar part he did only once. Venus 10.38, the least amongst these numbers. And you can see why perhaps he transformed the textile company into an investment company or into finance company. Saturn 11.52, Rahu 11.67, and Ketu 12.20. Anything after 10 is good. Nearer it is 15, it is much better. Above 15, it is extraordinary, that is what we said. But here we must remember there has to be strength in the natal chart. If natal chart is weak, mere divisional chart cannot overrule. If your entire body is weak, only your arm being strong would not help it to that extent if the entire body was strong. So look at it like this, and the idea will come out. This is all, as you know, expansion or enlargement of a particular bhava. So though it is D4 and assumed to be connected to the fourth house, so education, etc., etc. I think Parashara knew better than me, and he says it is about the fate. So sometimes you might find that what is generally said by the learned astrologers, they are all learned people. There is no doubt about it. uh, varies many a times from what I think is indicated by Sage Parashara. And I prefer to stay with him. Not only Parashara, other savants have also said the same thing, uh, only at different places. So, Datta Parijat would say it in a different manner, Paladipika would say it in a different manner, but the essence remains the same. And so, my friend, I am keeping these things brief because they become very complex as we go on. Looking at them, we can even say that here in this uh, D4 chart, TuryāMsha chart, the Lord of the fifth is in the 12th house, which is distant land or virtual world or etc. etc. And perhaps his fortune might have grown more after the what we call the virtual trading started, but I don't think that is it. It only shows variation in the fortune. The you know, sometimes the losses are more, sometimes they are less, sometimes they can disappear because of the knowledge gained. The acquired knowledge is seen from the fifth house, and this is how we look at it. But I would rather request, for sake of simplicity, focus on the bhava in the D chart, whatever bhava the sage is talking about. It's karaka, it's lord, and aspects on all those things. Like here, Mars is the ninth lord and aspected by all these, uh, four planets. And himself included, it is five planets. So his major fortune would have come from five different sources. Check his life on the net, it is available, and I think you will agree with me. So, my dear friend, I shall take your leave. I will not put your patience to test. You have always been very kind with me. And if there are any suggestions, do let me know. I propose to do all the 16 D charts. And out of them, I think I have already covered about, now that by the time of this recording, I think only two or three are left out. And once they are over, do go on suggesting me anything special that you want me to talk about, or I will also think about something, and maybe I will take some rest and then do it. So please bear with me and go on supporting me as you have. Very good night, sir.